Good morning, good day, good evening. Hope that you are doing great whenever you are watching this video. Welcome to my channel, Let's Talk Africa. Today I want to talk about a very small thing, but it's a big thing on its own. Why South Africa was able to do better than other African countries, who got independent before South Africa. So we can count many countries that who were able to do better, who got their independent before South Africa. But regardless of what they were able to achieve before South Africa, but South Africa was able to stay ahead of those countries in terms of development and the other things. These are the things that I want us to highlight, or rather the things that I want us to go through. One of the things we're gonna talk about the social development. It's South African, so when we will include health and other things like social development of South Africa. It's one of the highest social development in Africa. When South African government came to power, when black South African came to power, they were able to recognize what they have and what they had to build upon, because South Africa, one of the things, it inherited a lot of debt from the apartheid government. One of the reasons that pushed the apartheid government to surrender was because of the debt, because of they could not sustain the system of apartheid, because it was becoming expensive and then it was costly for the country. The country was not able to sustain that system. So when black government came into power, African National Congress, they had to deal with the debt of South Africa, which is they were able to pay it around 2008. They were able to pay it off, but every that during the tenure of Thabo Mbeki. So these are the things that South African government was able to spearhead: is development, housing, electricity and water, and education, health. These are the things that made South Africa to be as it is today. Because it is funny when you see some people who are saying that South Africa, what we have in South Africa is because of the colonial master. Yes, some of the things, they were built by the colonial master, but not 25,000 kilometers of road is not built. It was only 7,000 kilometers of road. This government had to build like 27,000 kilometers of road, and then we had to build railways and expand on that, because the development was concentrated in one places where there was work, where the white people were going to work, or where the business were concentrated. That is where the development was concentrated. And electricity, black people will have electricity for the virtue of they are staying in those places. So one of the things that the government of the African National Congress, when it comes to power, it makes sure that it develop housing, electricity and water. Make sure that one of South African water is the safest water in the world, or we have higher technology to sanitize water and to the technology that is used to clean water. So that is what South African did. So when you look at the African countries, when they received their independence, they still went to go to civil war, like Zimbabwe. You see, we also had our civil wars in South Africa, but our civil war were not that big. Were not that big as compared to the country, because we were able to calm down that civil war. Because during that time there was a faction that had an interest to a civil war to destabilize the ANC, so which is the time where there was a fight between ANC and Nkatha. So many black people kill each other during those times, you see. So other African states, they receive their independence. So when people are saying that we inherited things from the colonial master, they are not saying that they have inherited things for their colonial master. Them too. This is what they are not saying. For example, South Africa and other countries like Nigeria. Nigeria had a system. It was able to inherit the system from their colonial master government. What did they do after that? After they received independence, they had the time to still to go to civil war. And then there was a coup, government coup. And then even in today, Nigeria is not yet stable because of the things, because there are friction between the tribes. So a tribe is it is a still big thing in these countries. So when you see some other African insulting South Africa, I'm not getting upset, because I know their situation, that instead of their government was able to develop what they inherited from their colonial masters, they did not use that structure to develop people. They use money to, they eat everything. Right? I'm not saying there's no corruption in South Africa. There's a big corruption in South Africa, but it was able to manage. So in other countries, corruption is so high. It is so high to the point where you cannot identify a person who has a dignity. In South Africa, we have a crime, but the different about South Africa, one of the things, it is the constitution. I think that is one of the things that gave South Africa power, because one of the things that South Africa did before it came to power, we had a written constitution that says that how South Africa is going to govern itself. You see, we had that constitution. Many countries, they write their constitution after they receive their independence. That is why they are what they are. They were not prepared to have independence. As a result, South Africa is one of the countries in Africa that has invested in many African countries. How they invested, the business from South Africa are dominating in other countries, which means there's a huge investment of South Africa in other countries, and then whereas it is vice versa. Those countries, they do not have like a holding companies in South Africa. That is why you will see some countries, when people are protesting against illegal foreigners, some people, because there are no illegal South Africans in those countries, what they want to chase out companies. Tell me, when you chase the company that give you a job, what else you are going to have? We have nothing. So these are the things that people are not saying. These are the things that people are not saying, are not talking about. I hope that you like this video. Please make sure that you subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.